Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the lands, legends, planes, and planeswalkers of Magic the Gathering, where I take each one of these elements, describe them to you, some history, some information about them, helping to expand your lore knowledge and knowledge of the world settings of Magic the Gathering. Today I have another planeswalker for you, Koth of the Hammer. Now, Koth of the Hammer is in fact a member of the Hammer tribe. He's a Volshok planeswalker, one of the human barbarian tribes of the Oxidia range. So he was born in the Oxidia range, but he was born to parents, one from each of two different Volshok tribes, meaning he was a unique Volshok, referred to as an alloy amongst his people. Now, his spark awakened during the time period of the Phyrexian invasion. He, in fact, is a master of geomancy, and is in particular known for his ability to purify an ally, to purify a metal, and to make it, take an ore, make it pure again. And this is said to be a reflection of his want to make sure his people are always united and at peace. And that feeling is what gives him this ability, naturally seemingly tied to his connections to the Oxidia ring. Now, he's known to be a passionate leader that is, though young, is wise beyond his years and always ready to listen to counsel of others. But when action is needed, he is ready to pull up and jump straight into the battle himself, leading the charge. And it is said that he could drop a mountain on his enemies. So originally his spark ignited when his people, the Volshok, fell into an almost civil war, and the tribes began to battle themselves after generations where they had been at peace. Now they were forming into war. Metal mined from the Oxidia Mountains was beginning to be corrupted. So when they were creating bars, the Anvil tribe was creating bars of smelted metals. They were found to be brittle and broke easily. And the tribes, they began to blame each other. Old hatrages seething below the surfaces were being brought forth, and they began to battle against each other. Koth decided to use his ability to purify the metal, and he did so successfully. He told people he would do so, and he showed them he purified this. And the fact is, this did not stop the fighting completely. This sort of satiated it and reduced the number of skirmishes. It was soon after that, though, that he learned of the Phyrexians and that they were the cause of this corruption to the metal and to the world itself. He decided then to brand their symbol into himself as a marking that he will not rest until his people are safe. And then he began his planeswalking journey to look for allies across the plains that he could help save his world from the Phyrexians. A journey and suggestions from some mysterious figure took him to Urborg, to the gladiatorial pits within Urborg, where he came across Elspeth Tyrael. Now, Elspeth was being a gladiator there and saw the symbol on Koth's arm, flew into a rage. Elspeth's family had been killed by Phyrexians, the original Phyrexians, long before they were eliminated. So she lost control and was going to kill Koth until a Johnny Goldmane basically stepped in and separated the two of them. Koth pleaded to both of them to basically assist him, and in turn, eventually though, he and Elspeth went on a journey to the Tomb of Flesh. Effectively, this journey along the way, they showed off their abilities to each other, began to bond a little bit. But when they got there, Koth saw nothing. Elspeth showed shadows and nightmares of her past, effectively, things that haunted her, and she ran off. Koth followed her and basically tried to reassure her. They learned of a character, this wizard, this artificer named Venser. Turns out Venser had been rebuilding a Phyrexian ship and messing with basically technology made to planeswalk. This drew Koth into a madness. Basically, this figure was messing with this technology, which was the exact same thing that's corrupting his world, this abilities. And he's like, I shall take you with me, and I shall take Elspeth with it, and show you both what's going on to my world. Show you both what's going on, so Elspeth can be inspired to be a hero again, and Venser can see the dangers in what he is doing. They traveled to Mirrodin. And while there, it was hard to see the corruption at first. When he took them to Oxidia Range, there was nothing obvious. But on a journey, they could see that the Mephedros was spreading, and they were attacked by this sort of walking corpse shambler, which Elspeth just broke apart at. She could not fight it. The other two, they all managed to defeat it, but she was just defeated because this was a nightmare to her. She was remembering her distant past. She ran. Koth and Venser were captured by a corrupted harvester and taken to Ithsash. There, Koth managed to wake up, and Venser was still unconscious, kind of injured. Venser was never quite as strong. Koth was trying to face off, basically. He wasn't going to abandon Venser. He was fighting against the hordes of Phyrexians, seemingly too many, seemingly lost. And Elspeth showed up. She found her bravery and saved the both of them. The three of them began their journey again. This time, they took them to the Vault of Whispers within this area, where they could see a Phyrexian army emerging. Because they'd sent Venser ahead to scout, with not knowing that these armies were here. But they finally saw it. They finally learned the truth that this was not as simple a task as Koth had fought. This was much darker and much more army invasion spread. They began to journey deep into the heart of the planet, where they saw some of the atrocities the Phyrexians were doing. Elspeth kept going into furies, killing things as she goes, battling against it as they dive deep. Eventually, though, they did manage to encounter Azuri, an elven renegade who had basically gotten a position of power now and was using it to basically defend a group of renegades, but he didn't want to leave up his power. So he sort of tried to convince them to stop whatever they were doing. They managed to get by him and continue deeper, where they ran into Tezzeret. Tezzeret's an interesting figure here. He basically escorted them to a experimental center, a surgical bay. Elspeth slaughtered everything she found there because they were just doing such monstrous things, but they found Milerna there. Milerna, the figure that has no metal in her, a Mirrodin born with no matter, and is immune to pheresis, and basically can cure glistening oil. A unique thing amongst all the Mirrodins. I hope. And Tezzeret was like, a gift to you. So they left, and Elspeth bonded with Milerna, basically like older sister, looking after her. They eventually, their journeys did take them to the Furnace Lair, where they saw Azuri's men in the Mirren Resistance. Milerna was able to cure the glistening oil's effects on the Mirrodins that were here. She began to heal them and took a lot of times. They wanted her to stay with them and help them in their fight. But the others knew they had to journey deep again. They were after Karn by now, and Milerna decided to go with them. So they began to journey down, but they were harried, especially Tezzeret had sent people after them. They continued to battle forth, journeying down, and eventually, though, Koth grabbed Milerna when seeing like she was threatened, and ran, leaving Elspeth and Venser to get captured. And as the two of them were being drug off, and the Phyrexians are basically arguing as to what to do with them, Koth actually returned with Milerna, sprung an action, managed to save the two of them, and they managed to finally get to Karn's throne room, where they found him slowly dying, corrupted, falling. Venser did the ultimate sacrifice. He had been weakening the entire time here. His stamina, his powers were finally giving out. He wasn't going to survive the journey back. He gave up his life force, and the spark he had, the sort of artificial spark he had made for himself. It reinvigorated Karn's spark, purified the corruption deep within him, and reawoke the Golem Planeswalker. He told Elspeth that he would do his best to fight against this plague, but it's not something he thought would easily be removed. And he knew before he could help here, he would have to go to the other places he visited and try to remove the corruption he might have left there. He left Milerna in charge of making sure to keep things in check. But things were not so great. The 5 Praetors, each of one color mana, were battling against each other, and this helped the Mirren resistance. Elish Norn got the upper hand. She basically conquered much of Sheldred's and Urbrask's territory, even having excursions at the Furnace Lair and gaining influence there. She called upon all the remaining other Praetors to come to her and to basically give reverence to her, and Tezzeret, basically who's thought almost to be a traitor to a degree too. So Koth and Elspeth saw this as a great opportunity. They united a bunch of the Mirren resistance and went to attack them deep within Elish Norn's territory. But it was almost doomed from the start. There were problems. And the fact is, when the battle began, they were having tide after tide of Phyrexian against them until it seemed like it was just Koth and Elspeth left against an army. Koth decided that he was going to make the ultimate sacrifice, activate a spell bomb, using his own life, giving it up to destroy everything he could here. He told Elspeth to escape, but she wouldn't run. She wouldn't abandon him. So he sunk into the earth, hiding himself in a place that she couldn't get to, forcing her to run away because he wasn't going to stop. She planeswalked away as the explosion occurred, thinking he died. But Koth did not die. He managed to be deep enough away from where the explosion was, and the way he burrowed down saved his life. He was driven deep into the furnace layers, the lowest point of the furnace. And there he reunited with the Mirren resistance, hopefully, one day purifying his world of the Phyrexians. That's still his hope. But that's it for today. I introduced you to Koth the Hammer, a powerful planeswalker who has one goal in mind: save his world. And the fact is, he has done great things for his world, but his attempts came at a point in time where his world was doomed. The Phyrexians were already deep embedded in it. There was no way to stop them at the point in time he began his battle. They were already doomed from the start. But he did some great things to help the future. Mirrodin is alive and safe. She is with the resistance. Karn is out there, removed of Phyrexian influence, saved. Now granted, Elish Norn has managed to conquer them all and has plans. She sees the multiverse and sees Phyrexia spreading, just like the old days. Now, the resistance does remain in lower numbers. They've had many losses, but they try to fight back. And we have yet to see new Phyrexia again, but I'm sure we will in the future, to revisit this place that's facing a dark corruption and still needs to be saved. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you would say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's just for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon. Link in the description below. There's some great rewards there, and it helps support and grow the channel. If you do want to see some other great Magic the Gathering content, I can recommend my friends in the multiverse, Card Bazaar, They Said, We Said, and Tasty Snacky. They do great Magic the Gathering content. I could always recommend them. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.